Stan Lee's cameos became a beloved Easter egg in Marvel films and beyond. Some fan favorites include, but are not limited to, Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2, 2017. Revealed as a Watcher informant, tying all his cameos together. Stan Lee, the man behind many of Marvel Comics' most popular characters, is gone, but not forgotten. In this video, we're going to look at his life and times, from his humble beginnings in poverty to becoming the father of Spider-Man, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and so much more. So grab your spider sense and get ready for an amazing adventure, because today we remember the hero that we lost and the hero that he left behind. This is Stan Lee, the amazing story. Stanley Martin Lieber was born on December 28, 1922 in New York City. His parents were Romanian Jewish immigrants who had very humble beginnings. Sadly, his parents weren't able to give him much growing up because they were struggling themselves, and so young Stanley was raised by his mother after his father left the family when he was just 6 years old. Despite their struggles, Stanley was a bright kid with a passion for reading and writing. He would often write stories for fun and would sell them to classmates for 5 cents each. It was clear that Stanley had a gift for storytelling even at a young age. However, tragedy struck when Stanley was just 10 years old. His mother, who was his rock, fell ill and passed away. With no one else to care for him, Stanley had to drop out of school and become the sole provider for his sick stepfather and younger brother. At first, Stanley tried to keep his dream of becoming a writer alive by taking a job at a publishing house. But when he found himself immersed in the world of pulp magazines, he knew that this wasn't what he wanted to do. Pulp magazines featured lurid covers and cheap, sensationalist stories. They weren't exactly high art, but they were incredibly popular at the time. Stanley was fascinated by the way these magazines could transport readers to other worlds through their vivid covers and thrilling stories. However, he felt like there was something missing, something that set them apart from the kind of stories he envisioned. He started working as a freelance writer, trying his hand at different genres and honing his craft. He wrote everything from comic book scripts to ads for newspapers and even training manuals for the United States Army. But deep down, he still dreamed of creating stories that were more than just cheap thrills. That's when he met Martin Goodman, a publisher who was looking for someone to write for his new comic book company called Timely Comics. This was the beginning of a beautiful friendship that changed the face of comics forever. Goodman gave Stanley the freedom to explore his creativity and develop characters that were relatable to young people. Together, they created the Human Torch, a superhero whose adventures were rooted in the real world. But despite its success, Stanley knew that he could do more. So when World War II broke out, he put his dreams on hold and enlisted in the army. He served as a cartoonist, creating training films for soldiers. But even in the midst of war, his thoughts were with his characters. When he returned home, he resumed his work with Timely Comics, which had since been renamed Atlas Comics. He developed a range of characters with diverse backgrounds, including the first Asian American superhero, the Destroyer. But despite his efforts, sales were plummeting, and the company was on the brink of bankruptcy. Along with his friend Steve Ditko, they decided to come up with a concept that would save the company and change the comic book industry forever. They created a team of superheroes with special powers, but what really set them apart was their internal conflicts and personal struggles. These characters were flawed, complex individuals who grappled with issues that real people could relate to, making them more human and therefore more interesting. Captain America, the leader of the team, was a symbol of courage and patriotism, but he also struggled with feelings of isolation and the burden of leadership. The Human Torch was a fiery, impulsive character who often clashed with his teammates, but he also had a strong sense of justice and compassion. Each member of the team brought something unique to the table, and together they formed a powerful force for good. The public loved it, and sales began to rise. It seemed like things were finally looking up for Atlas Comics, but tragedy struck once again. Steve Ditko suddenly stopped returning Stanley's calls, and their partnership dissolved into mystery. Without Steve's help, Stanley had to take on the weight of creating these characters alone, and it almost crushed him. But somehow, he managed to keep the team afloat, writing and illustrating every page himself. He poured his heart and soul into the comics, crafting intricate storylines and memorable characters that captured the imaginations of readers everywhere. But as the years went on, the comics industry changed, and competition grew. In 1961, DC Comics released The Flash, a superhero with incredible speed and power who quickly became a fan favorite. Determined not to be outdone, Stanley created a superhero of his own, a web-slinger with spider-like abilities who would become one of the most beloved characters in comic book history. He called him Spider-Man, a teenage superhero who balanced his double life as a crime fighter with the challenges of adolescence. In the first issue, we meet Peter Parker, a nerdy high school student who gets bitten by a radioactive spider. He develops superpowers like super strength, agility, and the ability to cling to surfaces. But with great power comes great responsibility. When Peter learns that his Uncle Ben has been killed, he vows to use his powers to help others. The story resonated with young readers who saw themselves in Peter Parker, a regular kid who had to deal with the ups and downs of everyday life while also trying to do the right thing. Over the years, Spider-Man became one of the most recognizable superheroes of all time, appearing in movies, TV shows, video games, and more. But Spider-Man wasn't the only hero that Stanley created. He went on to develop a pantheon of beloved characters that have captured the hearts and minds of readers around the world. One of the most iconic teams he created was the X-Men, a group of mutants who were feared and persecuted for their powers. Professor X, a powerful telepath, assembles a team of young mutants to train them and help them control their abilities. The X-Men faced prejudice and danger as they fought to protect the world from evil and find their place in it. The series tackled complex social issues such as racism and discrimination, making it all the more powerful and relevant for readers. Another groundbreaking series he created was the Fantastic Four, a family of superheroes with a range of extraordinary abilities who protect the Earth from cosmic threats. The series was one of the first to feature a superhero team and established many of the tropes and conventions that are now commonplace in the genre. The Fantastic Four opened the door to a whole new world of possibilities in the comic book industry and paved the way for countless other superhero teams to follow in their footsteps. But perhaps one of the most important contributions that Stanley made to the comic book industry was the introduction of diversity. He created characters that represented a wide range of backgrounds, ethnicities, and sexual orientations, breaking down barriers and challenging stereotypes. His characters were more than just representations of diversity. They were fully realized individuals with their own unique stories and struggles. By showcasing these characters, Stanley was able to shed light on important social issues and promote empathy and understanding among his young readers. He didn't stop there, though. He also used his platform to speak out against injustice and to advocate for positive social change. He was a vocal supporter of the civil rights movement, and he used his characters to promote tolerance and acceptance. As the years went on, Stanley continued to innovate and push the boundaries of the comic book industry. He created new characters, wrote graphic novels, and even produced animated TV shows. But despite his incredible success, he never forgot about his roots or the fans who had supported him from the very beginning. It was no surprise then that when the movie industry started to take notice of comic book heroes, Stanley was at the forefront. He played a key role in developing the Marvel Cinematic Universe, serving as an executive producer on many of the films. He made cameo appearances in the movies, delighting fans and cementing his legacy as the father of Marvel Comics. Stan Lee's cameos became a beloved Easter egg in Marvel films and beyond. Some fan favorites include, but are not limited to, Iron Man, 2008, mistaken for Hugh Hefner at a gala. Thor, 2011. Tries to pull Mjolnir with his pickup truck. Did it work? Captain America, The First Avenger, 2011. I thought he'd be taller. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, 2017. Revealed as a Watcher informant, tying all his cameos together. Deadpool, 2016, DJ at a strip club, classic Stan. Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, 2018, a heartfelt animated tribute, posthumously released. Avengers, Endgame, 2019. His final cameo, driving past a military base in the 1970s. He even popped up in The Simpsons, Big Bang Theory, and Mallrats, always with a wink and a grin. Throughout his career, Stan Lee received numerous awards and honors, including a place in the Will Eisner Hall of Fame and the National Cartoonist Society's highest honor, the Reuben Award. But perhaps the greatest honor he could have ever received was the love and admiration of his fans. People all over the world have fond memories of how his characters impacted their lives, bringing joy, excitement, and inspiration to readers of all ages. He truly was a hero to many, a champion for diversity and an advocate for positive social change. But most importantly, he was a storyteller, a man who dared to dream of a world where anything was possible and shared that wonder with the world. So thank you, Stan Lee, for the amazing stories. Stan Lee, the legendary co-creator of Marvel superheroes like Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the X-Men, passed away on November 12, 2018 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. He was 95 years old. His official cause of death was cardiac arrest, brought on by respiratory and congestive heart failure. He also suffered from aspiration pneumonia, which occurs when food, liquid, or saliva is inhaled into the lungs. Stan's passing marked the end of an era, but his legacy continues to shape pop culture and inspire generations of fans and creators. You may be gone, but your legacy will live on forever. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more updates. Until next time, stay awesome, stay geeky, and above all, stay kind.